Hi scary lovers. Today it's Sunday, so we have another True Crime Sunday. Although there are no visual atrocities of the act visible, I would like to point out that this case is about gruesome act, which is about a very young child who lost his life far too early. If you don't want to hear about this, I recommend you skip this video. All the information I give you, I found on the internet. And I would like to note, I want to tell the story with all the respect our victim deserve. Today's case has been unsolved for many years and still is to this day, although the boy finally had been identified. The haunting case of the boy in the box. In February 1957, a young man who was checking his rabbit traps found a child's nude, malnourished, and beaten body wrapped in a plaid blanket, stuffed in a cardboard box, in the wooded area off Susquehanna Road in the Fox Chase neighborhood of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. Fearing that the police would confiscate his traps, he did not report what he had found. A few days later, a college student spotted a rabbit running into the underbrush. Knowing that there were animal traps in the area, he stopped his car to investigate and discovered the body. He was also reluctant to have any contact with the police, but he did report what he had found the following day, after hearing of the disappearance of Mary Jane Barker. So on February 25, 1957, the haunting case of the boy in the box started. The boy, estimated to be between 4 and 6 years old, had been severely neglected. The case would haunt Philadelphia for years to come, and despite extensive investigation, his identity remained a mystery for decades. The case drew significant media attention at the time. Investigators initially struggled to determine the cause of death, but it was later concluded that the boy had suffered from trauma and neglect. Various theories emerged about his identity and circumstances, including links to local families and potential abduction. Despite extensive media coverage and investigation, the boy's identity remained unknown for years. Authorities conducted a massive search, distributing flyers and appealing for information, but no one came forward to claim him. The Philadelphia Inquirer printed 400,000 flyers depicting the boy's likeness, which were sent out and posted across the area, and were included with every gas bill in Philadelphia. Despite numerous tips and even an extensive investigation involving psychics, the boy was not identified. Investigators initially dubbed the boy America's unknown child, and a funeral was held for him, attended by hundreds. Over the years, he was buried in a potter's field, but in 1998, his remains were exhumed in hopes of finding new evidence and even DNA, which led to further efforts to identify him, including genealogical research. Over the decades, various theories and potential leads surfaced, linking him to several families in the area, but none have been confirmed. On March 21, 2016, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released a forensic facial reconstruction of the victim and added him into their database. The body was then exhumed yet again in 2019 to retrieve additional DNA samples. A renewed effort using advanced forensic technologies aimed to solve the case, drawing attention from cold case enthusiasts and the public alike. Thanks to the technology not standing still, on December 8, 2022, 65 years, 9 months and 13 days after his body was discovered, the remains finally were publicly identified as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Investigators were finally able to identify him after a cousin uploaded DNA to a public database. Investigators subsequently encouraged that person's mother, a first cousin of Zarelli, to submit a genetic profile to GED Match, which she did, allowing investigators to identify his parents. A court order for the child's birth certificate was then made, which revealed the child's name and his parents' names, which were subsequently verified by DNA. Joseph was born on January 13, 1953, so he was only just 4 years old when he died in February 1957. When his body was found, Joseph appeared to have been cleaned and freshly groomed, with a recent haircut and trimmed fingernails. Zarelli's hair had been recently cropped, possibly after death, as clumps of hair clung to the body. Although he had suffered extensive physical attacks prior to his death, with multiple bruises on his body, he was also severely malnourished. His body was covered with scars, some of which were surgical, most notably on his ankle, groin, and chin. Despite the identification, The exact circumstances leading to his death are uncertain, and the case is still considered an open homicide investigation. At a December 2022 press conference, Philadelphia Police Commissioner Outlaw stated that Joseph's death is still an active homicide investigation, and we still need the public's help. Law enforcement reported at the same conference that both of Joseph's biological parents are deceased, but the child has living half-siblings. At the same December 2022 press conference, Philadelphia law enforcement stated that Joseph had lived in the area of 61st and Market Streets. "I don't know what the neighbors knew or didn't know," said the head of the Philadelphia Police Homicide Unit, Captain Jason Smith, at the conference. The child did live past the age of 4 years old, so there would have been somebody out there that would have seen this child, perhaps another family member that hasn't stepped forward, possibly a neighbor that remembers seeing that child and remembers whatever was occurring at that particular household. To this day, the case stays an open homicide case, although there is little chance that the case will ever be solved. I've no doubt that the boy in the box case will always haunt Philadelphia's history. I hereby close today's case. However, I would like to express my deepest respect for all those who have invested their time and work in the case for more than 65 years. Those who never gave up and wanted to identify the boy. It took 3 attempts to make an identification via DNA, and, thank God, they did not give up, and the American unknown child was able to get his name back even it was decades later. Please like and subscribe if you found my part on this case valuable. Let me know in the comments what kind of true crime cases you would like to hear from me in the future. By now, all I've left to say is, stay safe and you'll hear me back tomorrow.